You seem uncomfortable. Do I make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
When all seems lost, something unexpected happens. Ghosts take shape in the mind. How can one pull away from it? That phantom with a voice and a body? This part of one's podcast. Welcome to Pleasers
And Punishers.
Where we talk about movies people love to watch.
Movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
And all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
And I'm May, you are always insane, and you still are, Schultz.
And today we're discussing how Max is not the bisexual representation we've been looking for in The Night Porter from 1974, directed and co-written by Liliana Cavani, or as Brian said, she looks exactly like my grandma.
She's still alive.
Yes, she is.
93 years old and still making films as of at least 3 years ago.
Queen. The other writer being Italo Moscati.
Italo?
Yeah. Moscati. You know what? When I started watching this, it was like, it's an Italian movie. I was like, we can't
keep doing this.
Yeah, get away from it. All right. Starring Dirk Bogarde, Charlotte Rampling, Philippe Leroy, and Gabrielle Versetti.
And this week, we're continuing our journey through Fetish February, which was actually prompted by our guest wanting to cover this film with us. So please welcome podcaster, writer, actor, filmmaker, and returning guest, Amanda Jane Stern.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. No. Look, we wanted to do themes for every month this year, and you wanting to cover The Night Porter with us was like, oh, we should do Fetish February.
Oh
and so like that was the inspiration for programming.
I can't believe that I was themed this. I mean, okay, I'm kind of honored, but also, oh my God.
I also, at one point, to be fair, I had Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down in this spot originally, which...
Good kink.
Is also a movie that has some very, very problematic.
Okay, I have a much bigger defense for Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down in terms of its kink and its problematic elements than I do this.
So what you're saying is next February we should cover that with you.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Okay. That is a Beauty and the Beast movie to me. I have a whole argument about it. Oh yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never seen a single Almodovar movie.
No, look, this could be me excusing the fact that it's Antonio Banderas and he's really fucking hot.
Oh my God.
But I do actually have a whole argument for that movie. And why, although it's problematic, it falls into a world like Secretary where you have to look at whose kink you're in and then interpret it through that lens.
Exactly.
Also, to be fair, I watched it right after The Night Porter.
No. Oh my God, no, why? No. Why?
I don't know.
Do you know what I did after I watched this movie again? I read, like, queer 1920s pulp fiction.
Wonderful.
And by then I mean it's written in the present day but is set in the 20s, so it's positive.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
See, and I just came in here and edited our episode on Duke of Burgundy, where I talked about a lot of sad things happening in my life.
That's an intense movie.
Yeah. Yep.
I've seen that one too.
Especially when you're dealing with the dissolution of a very close relationship that had a built-in dom-sub dynamic.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things that are problematic, tell me, friends, what's your most quote-unquote problematic kink or sexual proclivity? And yes, I did run this question by both of you before I put it in the outline.
This is true, you did. I feel like you two should go first because I'm the guest. And I will go.
Oh, all right.
Okay, I'll take it. I think mine is that I have a tendency to seek out doms who are not good doms, where they are good doms in theory, but they are not good with aftercare. They are not good with the emotional support. And so I end up having this great deficit of kindness and softness coming from them because they just don't see that as part of their responsibility within the dynamic. And that to me is a huge problem. I don't think any of the things I'm actually into are problematic because I do them all with safety and consent. You know, I've talked plenty of times about how much I like blood play. I like being cut and having someone drink my blood. I like drinking other people's blood. It's really fucking hot to me. As long as you're safe, just like with any kink or sexual activity, there's no problem there. So for me, it's the nature of the relationships that I end up in. Fun!
Well, mine was going to be monster fucking, so, you know.
Is that problematic? Do we think that's problematic?
I don't think it's problematic.
I don't think it's problematic.
Other people do.
It's not problematic.
There are people who engage in like slave play and stuff like that. And I think that stuff is really, really loaded. I read an article once by a black sex worker who engaged in slave play where she was the sub. And that was like really therapeutic for her. But a lot of people had problems with that because of everything involved with that. So it was really fascinating to me. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of in terms of stuff that's problematic, or things that are just like you like them, but they end up not being healthy for you, like what I'm talking about.
Age gaps.
Yeah.
Not when it comes to women.
Only men.
Yeah. My attraction to women has always been healthy, I guess. to put it in just like fine. Men, age gaps, and that's not a great thing.
Yeah. I do actually, I tend to be attracted to older women, and I've never really had a relationship with a much older woman, but it might happen someday, although, you know, I'm almost 40 at this point, so who knows?
No, I feel like it really explains the movie I made.
Yep, it does.
You never know, like, oh my God, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this, is like, you never know, May. I have a little fuck friend, and she's 29. I didn't know that at the time. I was like, be in your 30s, be in your 30s, be in your 30s. And the guy,
29 is not a kid.
I know it's not a kid. I know.
Like at all.
But it's like once you cross the 40 threshold, it's like,
it really feels
am I still okay to be involved with someone who's... Yeah.
Yes.
No, I understand what you're saying. Also, little fuck friend, I think, was the most problematic part of that.
No, I kind of loved that, though.
Hi, I'm Caitlin of the North, and this is my little fuck friend.
Okay, but see if someone older, particularly 40-something and British and 6 foot something tall, called me that, I'd be like, yes, sir, thank you.
Yeah, I get it.
I will say when I was younger, I definitely... Oh, my God. Well, Brian called her my cum buddy, so that was also...
No.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Cum buddy is almost as bad as cummies.
It just sounds like chum bucket to me.
Yeah. And then you're thinking about Plankton and his computer wife Karen.
That is good.
No.
Not to yuck anyone's yum. Maybe that's someone's kink.
No, I'm just imagining someone's like really into Plankton.
Oh my God.
Okay. I came up with a good one now, I think.
Okay, do it.
Now I'm like, have I done that? But like the idea, I mean, I enjoy being watched having sex. Having sex in public is very interesting to me. But obviously there are consent issues there with people. I don't want to force anyone who hasn't paid to get in to do that, but I've definitely had sex like in an open window in a very, very tall, like, hotel.
You're the naked neighbor.
Oh, I definitely used to be a naked neighbor.
Oh, I'm still the naked neighbor.
Yeah, Maeve and I both walk around wearing like nothing but undies sometimes. We live on the first floor.
I'm on the third, and I look right into other people's windows.
I grew up in a naked family.
Yeah. Caitlin, I think that really fits the bill because it's something that is very exciting for you, and it's something that could be problematic given those wavy boundaries of consent and who is seeing you and whether or not they have a choice, etc. So yeah, I think that's a very good answer.
I like how we've all come to the consensus that this is a pro monster fucking podcast. And I think when we're saying monsters, we mean of the non-humanoid variety not a Nazi like this movie.
Correct. Yes.
Not that kind of monster.
Well, speaking of Nazis, let's get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim all your life.
Oh, God.
I was like, when May goes into role play with this one, this is going to be a thing.
Oh, well, so we're going to talk about what happens in The Night Porter. Vienna, 1957. Max, the night porter at a hotel, runs a tight ship and takes special care of one of the guests, Countess Stein.
Her makeup is wild and 20, 30 years out of date.
Intentionally, for sure.
Yeah, it's almost like she wishes it was still the 30s.
Why ever would she want that?
Yeah, who knows? When a young woman named Lucia comes to stay at the hotel with her husband, we discover through flashbacks that she was imprisoned in a concentration camp for having a socialist father, and I think it's implied that she herself was also a socialist, and that Max was both her tormentor and protector. During the war, Max passed himself off as a doctor in order to take sensational photographs of the goings-on in the camp, and his former colleagues are embroiled in keeping their secrets buried through destroying documents and eliminating living witnesses. One evening, he runs a spotlight for a guest named Bert, who performs a dance routine in his room, and Max flashes back to him doing the same dance for the officers at the camp. Bert wishes he could hire Max to be his bodyguard, but hasn't the money to do so. Okay, so quick thing about Bert. So he was an officer, but he's gay.
Yes.
And they just kind of let him do that? As they watch the opera directed by her husband, Lucia and Max both seem to flash back to the beginning of their sexual relationship during the war, when she was just a teenager. Back in the present, we hear but are not shown Mario, a former collaborator who knows Lucia is still alive, being drowned by Max while the two are fishing.
And I said, if anyone in Italy asks you to go fishing, you say no, thank you, because you don't never going to come back.
Fishes?
Exactly.
While her husband is away in Frankfurt, Lucia stumbles upon a meeting between Max and his colleagues discussing their war crimes and how to, quote, file away any trace of their history, which is basically a euphemism for burn or murder. Klaus, the de facto leader of the group, wants to locate the witness about whom Mario spoke, but knows only that the witness is a woman.
Klaus and his monocle.
Well, monocle, a monocle means someone's evil by the time it's a 1970s movie.
Oh, yes.
Max confronts Lucia in her room, and the two first fight, then begin to behave amorously as Max confesses his love. Lucia checks out of the hotel and joins him at his apartment, where the two resume their sexual relationship.
Yes, they do.
Max confides in the Countess that he has found his, quote, little girl again. And the Countess encourages him to file her away. Max then tells her the biblical story of their love. Dressed in a...
Love is an interesting... It's a word. It's a choice.
Yeah. what a romantic story. I was like, oh. What you're about to say, though, I was like, this is what the Kit Kat Club looks like after Cabaret ends, is what we're looking at right now.
Yep. Dressed in a topless SS uniform, Lucia performs Marlene Dietrich's If I Could Make a Wish for the officers, and Max, inspired by the story of Salome, gives her the severed head of Johann, a prisoner who tormented her. Of course, Maeve made a joke when we were watching this and went, Gwyneth?
Oh my God.
What was in the box? We didn't know.
Johann's head.
Yep.
Marcellus Wallace's soul.
Oh my God. Yep. I was going to say with Max in this, the way that he's just like, she asked me to get him transferred, but I just went the extra mile.
It was a romantic gesture.
Yeah, I figured why not go above and beyond and get ahead of the game.
It's better than a ring.
I heard that, May, by the way. Get ahead.
Yeah, no.
Amanda, you heard it. You just chose to ignore it.
Oh, I heard it.
Smart. Back in the present, Max discovers that Adolf, spelled with a PH, not an F, a young man who lives and works at the hotel, is spying on him at Klaus's behest. Hans, one of Max's colleagues, comes to question Lucia and asks her to testify in Max's mock trial to ensure that she will not turn on him or the rest of them.
What a trap. Also, I just have to say, the way that Mr. Dirk says Salome as like almost salami.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Salome.
I was like...
He's very British.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
He was also gay.
Oh, yeah. No, don't worry. I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, me too. I am electric.
I mean, I just wrote a bunch of stuff about Nazis.
Don't worry. We gotcha.
I've got Dirk Bogarde.
Yeah.
Dirt?
I added my own little thing to
Yes, you did.
The section, and so I'm going to talk about that and then a few other things.
Okay. We're gonna talk Dirk, and I'm gonna probably bring up Victim.
Okay.
From 1961.
Excellent. Lucia's husband has sent the police to find her, but they are put off the trail. Max no longer wants to go through with his mock trial, and he quits his job at the hotel because he doesn't want to leave Lucia alone. As his colleagues attempt to isolate the lovers by cutting off their grocery deliveries, Klaus shoots Max in the hand from the street below. The Countess calls Max to offer help, insisting that their mutual friends are not joking.
Yes, because we all know Nazis are so full of laughs.
Mm-hmm. Max tries to ask his neighbor to buy him some food, but she's busy stupping Adolf, who insists that Max hand over Lucia. This is, I feel like, the most perfect use of the word stupping.
It is.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Refusing to give in even after the power has been cut, the two eventually leave the apartment dressed in, respectively, an SS uniform and a negligee.
As one does.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Followed by Bert and Klaus. They park on a bridge as dawn breaks, and the two lovers are shot and killed as they walk hand in hand.
I love a story with a happy ending.
Me too. Okay, so normally I would have a question here, a post-synopsis question, but I was having trouble coming up with one because there's also just so much to talk about here. So
yes,
we're going to skip that. So please just tell me, and Amanda, you go first because I think you have the longest history with this movie.
I think so.
What was your first experience with this movie, and how has your relationship with it changed?
So in my sophomore year of college, I took a class called Hitler's Europe on Film. And it started with watching movies actually from Europe, from the World War II time period, and how filmmakers dealt with that censorship, to depictions of World War II from other European countries. And the woman who taught the class is an Italian history scholar and film scholar.
Interesting.
So we ended up doing a lot of Italian cinema. Also, there's a lot of Italian cinema about World War II. And for my first essay, in that class, I wrote about this movie because the professor, who was also my film advisor, recommended it to me. She was like, Amanda, I feel like this is going to be something that you're interested in writing about. You should watch this. So I watched it, and I wrote an essay called Let's Play Master and Servant, Depictions of BDSM in Liliana Cavani's The Night Porter. Yes, I named it after the Depeche Mode song.
I mean, you have to. It's the perfect title for an essay like that.
And so it was a class, it was an essay-based class. So then the next essay I wrote about a movie called Seven Beauties by Lena Wertmuller, which also involves Nazis. It's also a World War II set. And I wrote an essay called Hitler's Horny Harpies.
I love that so much. So much.
Something that I noticed in both movies is how they depict Nazis. And so the final paper was this big research project. And my professor goes, okay, you've now written about sex and deviance in 2 1970s Nazi movies. I think you might be onto something. So that's what I did. I wrote a research paper called On Dominance and Submission, the Nazi as Sexual Deviant in 1970s Italian Cinema as Juxtaposed with a Banality of Evil.
Yes.
I want to read that.
Yes, you did.
And so I had maybe a half dozen, maybe even more movies that were 1970s Italian films that dealt with World War II, and they all depict Nazis and fascists as sexual deviants. And of course, we know that to be a Nazi, you don't have to be a deviant, you're just an asshole. And so I was juxtaposing it with Hannah Arendt's The Banality of Evil, and how the theory that I posited was, at that time in Italy, we're making a lot of movies that are dealing with World War II. Freudian psychoanalytic thought is also kind of all the rage. And my posit was that this was a way of dealing with your own country's culpability in that time period by saying, well, look, we couldn't do that now. They're all deviants. And of course, then that goes to a different idea of, well, like, if you're into kink, that doesn't make you a deviant, you know? It's just, again, this is not positive kink. This is a bad guy. But it was a very interesting thing that I noticed in so many movies. So I got very into it, and then I took an Italian cinema class with the same professor and ended up writing a lot of similar things, also dealing with more Italian cinema. So this is a movie that back then I probably watched a dozen times because it's a really easy watch, you guys.
Yeah.
Really easy.
2 hours of pure fun.
So nice. So nice. And I had not seen it since then. So this was a first in, I guess, 14 years.
Damn. Wow.
And of course, when I was in college, there was a very different political climate going on.
Yep.
And it's really hard to watch a movie like this in the world we live in now.
Sure is.
And I'm still there with my argument about portraying Nazis as sexual deviants and how that's not a valid. I mean, you know what? Actually, I would amend that. If you want to portray them as deviants, you know what their deviance is? They're pedophiles. That's what. But that's not what we were getting in these movies, except for The Damned, which is a whole other bag of worms of Visconti.
Which also stars Dirk Bogarde and features Charlotte Rampling.
It sure does. I wrote about The Damned because I wrote a whole thing about Visconti called Keep It Gay.
Oh. Oh, Caitlin, you know who else is in that movie? Florinda Bolkin.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's my history with The Night Porter.
Excellent. Okay, what about you, Caitlin?
So this was a first-time watch for me, and confronting. I'm feeling confrontive. This is, When I was growing up, I read a shit ton of books about the Holocaust. Like, this was something that I think the idea of how humans could inflict this on other humans and then those people surviving is something that I don't want to say like interested in, but it's like it's good to know how these things work so you can want to avoid them too. When you see it, you're like, oh no. So I got very into World War II, specifically against starting, I think I read The Diary of Anne Frank in like 4th grade.
Yeah, that would track.
3rd or 4th grade. It was definitely 3rd grade because I hated my teacher in 4th grade. Half of my teacher. We moved in the middle of the school year in 4th grade. It was a whole thing.
The top half and the bottom half.
I know. I was like, half of my teachers. So I read The Diary of Anne Frank, and from there just continued to consume information. This is actually what eventually brought me to the Japanese internment, which had then brought me to my interest in Japan, which eventually led to the history of South Korean colonization. It's kind of all
You had really happy hobbies as a child.
Yep. Oh, I was a treat. And a dream. I was reading definitely the same books everyone. It was like Goosebumps and Holocaust books. It was
in grade school.
Yeah.
It's okay. I read Holocaust books in grade school too.
And this continued well into my teens. And then just kind of the further history of World War II as well. And also, I will say, I grew up thinking that I was part Scottish because of my last name. And that's what we were told my entire life. Like, we had the tartans, we went to Highland Games. This was my dad's side of the family. Took a DNA test, turned out I am 100% not Scottish, but
Is that all it
Jewish.
said? Just 100% not Scottish.
Welcome to the tribe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that...
Yeah, Irish and Jewish is
Yeah.
such a fascinating combo.
Yeah, that's my combo.
So people who have had it really easy in life.
Exactly,
Yeah.
100%.
So easy.
People who love potatoes.
I will say, we love a potato.
You're right. Oh my God. I don't have the Irish. I do have the Jewish, but yes, potato.
Oh my God. That is my one, I always say that's my one crossover because obviously you're not eating pork. I mean, people
I
do.
am.
I was going to say people absolutely do, but like, let's pretend that, you're not supposed to eat pork.
Only if you're keeping kosher.
Yeah. So beef is a really big thing. I can't eat beef because I have a blood thing. Because I'm...
You're a vampire?
Kind of. Because I mean, look at me. Do I look like someone who's ever been in the sun in my life? No.
And yet I'm the one who likes blood.
I totally lost my train of thought. It was fine.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Beef. It was beef.
Oh, beef. Right. Beef and blood. We're talking about beef and blood. So, but because of how also like ethnically Irish I am, we have this thing that our blood, not always, but like really loves to hold on to iron.
Oh, my blood does not like iron.
I was like, why do I throw up every time I eat like an iron supplement? I have too much iron in my blood at most times.
Oh, we should trade.
Yeah.
I know.
Caitlin, stop eating bits of rusty metal. Yeah. Like, come on.
Can I have some of that?
My sister is anemic, and I find that very, I mean, I don't know if this is telling, but because I, growing up, was very identifiably Irish, people would look at me and be like, the one with the Irish face. I have people coming up, yeah. I have people come up to me on the streets, like in the United States, and go like, are you Irish? Like,
See, I have people assume I'm Irish all the time too because of my hair color. And I'm like, nope. There's no, are you short? Yep, positive. There's no Irish there.
Meanwhile, people just always assume I work at whatever place I'm at in public and ask me to help them with things. Oh my God. Grocery stores, bookstores, record stores, etc. And here's the funny thing. I will always help people if I know the answer. But I will also say, by the way, I don't work here.
I don't know her.
She doesn't even go here.
No. But my sister was always clocked as Jewish and like went to temple, researched Judaism. This is all before we found out that my dad's changed his last name during World War I. So originally we were hamburgers, which...
Oh.
Speaking of beef.
Yeah. Well, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
It's like you were subconsciously trying to...
I also, and I'm going to tell you all this, I don't necessarily want this in the episode, but that would make my full name Caitlin Coffee Hamburger, which I was like, that sounds more like something you order.
It's like what
like
you
a
get
menu
at the diner.
item, yeah.
Coffee and a hamburger.
Caitlin Coffee Hamburger.
I'll take the Caitlin combo, the coffee hamburger.
Yep.
Which are not things I want together, to be perfectly honest.
No. That sounds actually terrible.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, this was a first watch for me as well. And given the film's reputation, I was expecting something a bit more shocking. And I don't know if it's the movies that I watch or the time we're living through in the world right now, but I didn't find this shocking. Upsetting, certainly. Confronting, yes, but not shocking.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on that. And even me watching it over a decade ago, I felt the same. And I think it's also maybe going into it, I was expecting so much more shocking.
Yes.
That.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of the goings on at the camp.
No.
We don't see any explicit sex. We see some like implied sex.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it's tasteful.
No.
It's somewhat more restrained than I expected the first time and subsequent viewings after.
The whole full frontal we get is from Adolf.
Yeah.
Which, interesting.
And we do see Lucia.
Oh, you're right. Because that people...
In the room where he's
because
like,
that is
shooting.
like so not sexualized to me. I keep forgetting that continued to happen. Yes, I take back what I said.
We
it
see
was
a lot
a
of
lie.
titty.
Yes, we see a lot of
good deal of titty.
Yes. And we see Adolf's dong. So
yes.
Cheers, Adolf, for hanging dong. Speaking of people named Adolf, let's get into the film's cultural context in our next section, Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself, because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
So, Caitlin, take us away.
Oh, yes. So World War II, everyone. It's
never heard of it. What's that?
Remember that?
Right? It's like it completely changed the world. Isn't that wild? We talked a bit about World War II last week. Actually, more things leading up to World War II in the Korean Peninsula. So here we are. One of the things I find really, really fascinating about this is that, and I think people have missed this, is that Liliana Cavani started out like as a World War II documentarian. She was like in the 60s. She was going to the camps. She was interviewing people. A lot of it was regarding also Italy and the partisans who were sent to the camp. And I do find that makes a huge difference in this movie. According to Wikipedia, which I think was cited, that this is based off of a true story that she heard as well. She was at one of the camps and she saw a woman laying flowers down and went to go ask, and it was like she wasn't Jewish, she was a socialist. And she said, I am laying these flowers down for my lover, who is part of the SS and died during the American liberation. So it's like, I appreciate in this movie that Liliana also did not make Lucia Jewish.
So, okay, as I recall from research I did, again, 14 years ago. So when I would have been researching it, yes, I would have been using the internet, but I also would have been using physical sources, in our school's library. And I recall one interview or article I read where the original version of the script had her as Jewish and changed it. This is now a case of I don't know how to cite that anymore because it's been so long. I don't know if that article or interview has even been digitized.
Right.
But I do distinctly remember reading that and citing it in my own paper at the time.
That's really interesting. I know in the Criterion interview with Liliana Kamani, she's just like, I didn't want to address the Judaism of it all.
Because it makes it even worse. Because it's not good to begin with.
No. Nope. And because they did not want to do that, she was talking about, like, it brings in, that the Holocaust. I will say I'm not sure if it was the subtitles. Some of it seemed very like, I didn't want to deal with the Jewish issue. There were a lot of other people in the Holocaust, and I was like, I don't think I'm reading this the way I should, because it seems very like, all lives matter, without giving the main reason for.
I think I've read other interviews with her where she addresses this maybe a little better than that interview. And it was more to the effect that there's no way you're ever going to be on board with him in any sense if she's Jewish.
Well, and it's interesting because the idea of being on board with him at all seems so preposterous to me. And it's like, doesn't really matter whether or not she's Jewish. And I understand that adds another layer of complication and complexity to the issue. But I'm assuming, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. What she was saying was, because Jews were the main target of the Nazi Party during World War II, that having the character be Jewish would make it too much of a thing to be able to contend with, as opposed to, yes, she was wrongfully persecuted and imprisoned by the Nazis. That is still very bad. And, this relationship that she developed with this man who was her captor is really fucked up. I get what she's getting at there.
Yes. And again, like I said, I think that how the subtitles were, I'm like, I don't think this is what she's saying, because again, she knows what she's talking about.
Right. She doesn't seem like an asshole.
No, I think it is that adds a different layer of complication of this is already treading on some real murky ground. Right. And I'm sure we'll address how well it handles that murky ground. But to add that extra layer would be...
Yeah. Yeah, and so one of the other groups of people who were persecuted by the Nazis were queer people. So,
yes.
Amanda, you said some stuff about this. Do you want to throw your hat in?
This is wilding.
So, have either of you ever heard of the Night of the Long Knives?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what the target of the Night of the Long Knives was?
Yes.
I don't remember.
I do, because I have like a whole paragraph about. I have
about
separate
Ernst
notes.
Rome?
Yep, I have like separate notes because I was going through of like there are lots of other people, and I have the list.
So there's a man who was very influential in Hitler's rise to power. Is this guy Ernst Rome? Big gay, real gay, very very gay. And so when we think of cabaret and we think of like the decadence of the Nazis and the orgyism and the parties, that's the beginning of the Nazi Party, when it was super gay. And as other members of the party started coming to power, like Himmler and those aggressively hetero bros,
Oh my God.
they convinced Hitler, hey, Rome and the people who follow him are a problem and we need to remove them. So Night of the Long Knives, quite aptly named, is basically when they killed the gays within the Nazi party, especially the ones of power. So someone like Bert is super interesting to be so overtly queer. When something like Night of the Long Knives happened, of course there were still gay Nazis. There are gay people everywhere, as we know.
And being part of a marginalized group does not preclude you from being a piece of shit.
Exactly. But so there is a long history with the original Nazi, the Long Knives, original Nazi party. I'm so sorry. And homosexuality.
Nobody clip this.
So I have a whole timeline over here. So 1871, in Germany, sex acts between males are criminalized. However, the German Supreme Court ruled that a conviction required proof the men had penetrative sex. So it was mostly anal, sometimes oral. However, in other sexual activities, though, between men were not punished.
So handies were okay?
Apparently
That's
handies.
not penetrative.
Yep.
I guess you can't
handies are
penetrate
fine.
a hand.
I mean, if you've got stigmata.
Oh my God, no.
And, you know.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. All right. Wait, what was the Triple H title of your paper? Hitler's
Horny harpies.
Hitler's Horny Harpies. Okay, so their first single is Stigmata Hand Job.
Oh my God. This is the band that we should make. As a bunch of queers.
An explicitly queer, Jewish, anti-fascist punk band.
Yes.
I love this.
I am here for this. I am here for this. I am here for this.
Wow.
It's like Dead Kennedys, Nazi punks fuck off, but even more confronting.
Yes. Also, this law was pretty much, it was not really enforced because you had to prove that two people are, and also if you were like a passive member of it.
So if you were the penetrated?
I think if you were the penetrated, you would be okay, but the penetrator.
You had to be the penetrator.
Oh.
So very anti-Greek boy love.
Sorry. Somehow, when Maeve and I were watching this, she said "holy cats" and was like, "Wait, is that what his character says in Terror Vision?" Referring to Garrett Graham's character. I was like, "No, he says holy tomatoes." And then I referenced the part of Terror Vision where the guy that comes back to the house is like, "I'm Greek. I like boys." So full circle moment for me here today in movie references.
Like my Titanic moment last week.
Yes. Well, before this ship sinks, let's keep going.
I know. So Nazis, this I felt was all very important to say, influenced by earlier ideas conflating homosexuality, child molestation, and the seduction of youth. And what would they do? They would go in and ban books that had anything to do with LGBTQ. They burned tens of thousands of books.
Yep.
You know, I don't know why this feels familiar. It sounds familiar. Like, is there something happening right now that resembles
what you're talking about?
Right?
Nope, I live under a rock. I have no idea what you're talking about.
If it
must be nice.
right?
It must be.
If it talks like a Nazi, it does.
If it quacks like a Nazi, it's a Nazi.
So, I will say, even before the Nazis' rise to power, a lot of these groups were targeted already.
Yeah.
There was widespread belief among Germans that homosexuality, basically, like, it was a disease, but not medically necessarily, but that it could be spread. And they have a lot of all-male groups, such as Hitler Youth, the SS, and then the SA, which were the brown shirts that Rome was in charge of. And
okay, they were all gay, though.
hotbeds, they must not be seen as hotbeds of homosexual recruitment.
The SA was an orgy.
But once Himmler really got his teeth into this, it was like they were worried also about depopulation, not making enough babies, and obviously
you gotta make more Nazis.
Which also, I haven't heard that at all recently. Strange.
Nothing about eugenics.
I haven't heard anything about
single women
paying women to have babies.
No, because we have to have more babies.
It didn't happen the last time I went to my gyno. She was like, okay, I'm going to write you an extra long birth control prescription.
Yes! And those are the kind of doctors we need on our side.
I love her.
Good.
Yes. That's one of the reasons I got an IUD was I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I
get that. I went on the pill for hormone issues. Which is why I've stuck to it.
No, that totally makes sense.
Right. Like, I'm stuck because period bad. Real bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the nice things.
So that's why I won't switch. Yeah. But it also means, like, I'm worried. She's like, no, I'm going to make sure that they release as many packs to you as I can get them to release at one time. I love her. This is a woman who will be smuggling birth control to people.
Excellent. Yeah, we need those people. And
we do.
Be gay, do crime.
Yes. There's a t-shirt that says that with Frog and Toad on it, and I really love it.
I love it. I love Frog and Toad.
They are gay.
They are gay. And
I love those two little green homos.
What I don't love is the Nazi party in the continuing. Oh my god.
We have fun here at Pleasers and Punishers, and it's wonderful.
We're pleasing ourselves with a very punishing movie.
It's true. It's true.
And a very punishing subject matter.
Yeah.
Not pleasuring, but pleasing.
No, yes. Yes. 1933, there was this paragraph 175 where it's like male homosexual acts were illegal, but it was kind of a gray area. The law was rarely enforced. However, the Nazis, to go through, they shut down gay clubs, organizations, and publications. It was huge. The Rome Purge in 1934, which also then their idea was the brown shirts will also be ruled. The reason, what they told the people was because they were worried that
consolidating power.
Yeah, yes, it was all about consolidating power.
But it was about getting rid of homosexuals, and homosexual excess was one of the
Yes.
It is interesting how this coincides with the same year that the Hays Code actually went into effect in the U.S.
Oh, my God. It's like... So, 35, they amend paragraph 175 so they could make convictions of homosexual men specifically much easier. And, quote, in theory, it could have become a crime to look at another man with desire. That is how... Like, you could be convicted for just as a man hugging another man. Like, no sexual acts had to take place. And by 1936, Himmler led efforts to persecute gay men under existing and the new anti-homosexual laws with the idea that, yes, it could be spread. This more than 1 million gay Germans were targeted.
And gay men, let's face it, they weren't really targeting women in the same way. They're very Queen Victoria about that. But men who were incarcerated in concentration camps for being gay, even after being freed after the Holocaust, still had to serve out their sentence. Yeah.
Still, because it was still illegal.
Yep. So if you want another real Punisher of a movie, you can watch Bent and bawl your fucking eyes out.
Yeah.
Don't, in this day and age, don't. You're gonna be a blubbering mess.
Yeah, these are all estimates with like 100,000 arrested, 50,000 convicted and imprisoned by civilian courts. Unknown number were institutionalized in state-run hospitals. Hundreds were chemically castrated. there was a difference, as Amanda, you alluded to, between like a curable and incurable homosexuality. So like if it was one time or you were drunk, you could be cured. But if you consistently were indulging in your homosexual activities, then you're incurable and were sent to concentration camps. So we have about 5,000 to 15,000 gay men.
Jesus.
There was a play that played at the New York Fringe Theater Festival quite a few years ago now, called The Radicalization of Ralph. And it's about Liesel's boyfriend from
my
The
God.
Sound of Music, who is gay. And it's about his joining of the Nazi party, falling in love with another man, and then like choosing to betray that man.
That is wild.
It was a
That
great
sounds
play.
very sad.
She was sad. She was 16 going on 17, and tough life lessons learned for Liesel in that movie.
Because not only was he a Nazi, but he was punishing himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a great play. Very sad. Very sad.
We had, yes, and hundreds to thousands were killed. They said about 60% died in camps, and this was a higher percentage of other smaller groups, smaller
because
populations.
they were looked down on even less. There was still a hierarchy in terms of people who were in the camps, and if you were there for being a homosexual, you were considered the lowest denominator, even lower than the Jews.
The Goring Institute would offer treatment for homosexuals. They claim to have changed the sexual orientation of 341 to 510 patients.
Sure they did.
I know, right? That's not a thing.
No.
If anyone's listening to this and thinks that's a thing, that would be wild. Definitely not a thing.
You're listening to the wrong show.
I know. You're listening to the wrong show.
Oh, but you mean this isn't the straight McStraight show?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Straight McStraight. Here to give you some straight talk.
Straight talk about not being straight.
The only thing straight about me is my hair.
My hair's not even straight. I blow dry it.
I feel like we were talking about that with Sarah Stubbs with the hair. And I was like, yeah, no, I got the
blow
curls.
dry it and it's still not straight. So
Oh, yeah, no. You get me near a drop of water, and this bang situation gets tragic.
I know. Caitlin, you and I went for the bangs, and bangs do not.
The swoopy bangs, swoopy bangs.
I love them, but yeah.
I haven't had bangs since I also had a mullet when I was 8 years old. Yeah.
That is so fun.
It wasn't my choice, and it's the haircut my dad still has.
I will say, I feel like, Amanda, you and I kind of have like very small foreheads from what I'm looking at. And bangs look good on people with very small foreheads.
I do not have a small forehead. I have like a medium-ish forehead.
I think it's either
You have a very,
small or like really, really large that you want to cover it.
Yeah, and I've gotten in between.
It is very...
You've just got a normal
not
forehead,
everyone
Meg.
can- Yes.
How dare you?
And as we already said, once they were released from concentration camps, they were still persecuted. There were some that they're like, oh, this is going to count towards time served.
Oh, wow.
And I will say something that I read that was very interesting was that the homosexuality within the Nazi Party may have been overstated because...
I'm sure it was.
Oh, well, yes. And it was left-wing newspapers that were trying to discredit the Nazi Party by being like, you're overrun with homosexuals.
Well, it's also Rome
and
definitely
Rome,
was.
Yes.
Overtly, like, he was the definition of when they say don't flaunt it, he was flaunting.
And there was another, like, someone just under him.
Exactly, who he, yes.
Yes.
Yes, who was just under him in multiple ways.
Yes, who allegedly was like arrested in bed with a man.
I mean, wasn't Rome killed in bed with a dude?
Maybe
With
that
the
was
long
him
knife.
then. Yeah, it was like one or the other was killed in that way. And so the left-wing papers were the first ones to like out Rome, and they continue to be like, there's a lot of more homosexual activity than you would ever dream of, and to discredit. Which is like, oh, thanks. Oh, God.
Yep.
Nazis were racist. They were racist. They were really racist.
The world that they wanted, if they had won, by this point, everybody would have cleft chins. Like, what's that? Like, everybody would be so inbred. You wouldn't have a population anymore because everybody would be turning into the people in Spider Baby. That's their world. That's what they wanted.
Yes, all non-Aryan races except for I think it was the Japanese. And Turkey came up specifically because obviously the Japanese were considered honorary Aryans because they were part of the Axis powers. So the Jewish and Romani people were some of the only ones that were targeted for extinction and extermination in a very specific way as the final solution. So approximately 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. 3 million were Polish Jews, with 90% of the Jewish population in Poland were murdered. And then with Europe in general, we have typically around 15 up to 90% of the Jewish population being decimated at this time. So I'm going to skip over German Expressionism. This movie has a lot to do with German Expressionism. Look it up. Apparently Hitler hated that kind of art, so hooray.
Of course he did. It was a lot founded by Jews.
Yeah, he probably saw the cabinet of Dr. Caligari and had a fucking heart attack because he was like, oh, I'll never be talented enough to make something this beautiful.
Yeah, he was a whiny. That's why fascists hate art, because they're bad at it.
And I wonder if that has anything to do with the rise in AI-created art.
Oh, yeah, no, that's exactly what I was referencing right now, those fucking fuck faces.
I did have just a little thing here. I mean, Cabaret came out 2 years before this, which I was like, because the scene where she is dressed in the SS uniform with Marlene Dietrich, Salome is the seductress within Christian thought. And you have also Marlene Dietrich, who is the bisexual representation we're looking for. Yeah. Who was such an anti-Nazi. And the song that she's singing, If I Could Make a Wish, has a lot of themes of sadness, but as like political strength. Particularly like women's struggles for emancipation and whatnot. So that's very, very
Didn't she spied against the Nazis, didn't she?
Yes, she
was one of those,
She was like, I am out.
Yeah.
She didn't necessarily spy against the Nazis because she was so vocal in how much she hated the Nazis that she was like, I am out.
Peace, bitches. Yeah, she was.
I am going to become an American citizen. Fuck y'all.
That is openly bisexual as someone could be at that time.
Yes. Saying like the denazification of Europe and the trials, which are very important in this movie, because that's kind of the crux of why we have to. Yeah, you all know
Nuremberg trials. So I feel like we should have those again.
Oh,
yeah.
Sound great. We should have had them in 2016.
We should have had them in 2016. Absolutely. We should have had them in 2021. And there's so many.
Yep.
Where the United States government.
So many places where it coulda. Yeah.
You know, I mean, and also the United States government shielding a lot of Nazi scientists.
Oh, yeah.
Because
their knowledge was valuable.
Their knowledge was so important that we had to bring the Nazis here.
And they were anti-communist.
Yep.
Weird how that also keeps coming
I have some
up.
really good news for them this time around. None of them are smart this time.
That's true.
Yeah, it is. So the Nuremberg trials, which are kind of the this is very high-ranking members of the Nazi Party, ones that didn't escape.
Good, Brazil.
Yeah.
Or Argentina.
Yep.
So we have 1945. There were additional trials, 1946 to 1949. Then we have the Frankfurt Auschwitz trials, which was 1958 to 1967. So this is what is being explicitly referenced, and this was an inquiry into Auschwitz that was launched by the Central Office of the State Justice Administrations for the Investigation of National Socialist Crimes and the German Supreme Court. And through these trials, this is when people start, the larger population, start to realize what the Holocaust was and how Jewish people were. Like, Hitler kind of figured out, we're not going to take over everything in Europe through military might. So let's go with our secondary goal to eradicate the Jewish people. Most people didn't know that until these trials. And Adolf Eichmann, who was in charge of organizing mass deportations of Jews to ghettos, concentration camps and extermination camps, that trial really brought things to the forefront, which I feel like is also one of the reasons we start to see an exploration of Nazism and the Holocaust in the 60s and 70s in film. So influence, I didn't go with movies. I went with fashion because that image of Charlotte Rampling in the hat with the suspenders,
iconic.
I mean, it is iconic. And I mean, it's on most of the posters. This is from an article called Nazi Chic, The Stylistic Legacy of the Night Porter, and it's from Dazed.com. As far back as the mid-1940s, but more prominently in the 60s and 70s, European directors had turned to the neat black uniforms of the Third Reich High Hugo Boss to give a stylistic but politically questionable edge to a new genre of sexually explicit exploitation films, dubbed nazisploitation. Why the SS questions Susan Sontag of our sexual fascination with fascism, writing that for the New York Review of Books in 1975. This wasn't only about power dynamics, but about how that power manifested, and the sharp outfits, stiff leather boots, and peaked caps. The SS was designed as an elite military community that was not only supremely violent, but also supremely beautiful. Hi, Hugo Boss.
Yeah, no.
She surmised, that's Susan Sontag surmised. In
Sontag.
other words, Sontag.
Studied her a lot in film school.
That's my accent. That is my Pacific Northwest accent. So like I say dragon. I say drag. Anything that's a G, an A next to a G, it's gonna. I think I said this. Yeah. I think Fraggle Rock. I feel like that came up before. Yeah, Fraggle Rock. And someone was like, "How do you? Are you not saying that?" They say it like 1,000,000 times in the theme song, and I went,
Do you say fag? I'm not going to make you say it.
No, I was like, I was like, fag it. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Bags, eggs, and tags.
Anyway. That's very Charles Dickens of you, like Fagin.
Fagin. There you go.
Oh god.
It is a little bit Canadian, a little bit Midwestern, and just like
Incredible.
Sontag.
Please continue.
She's in other words, style along with associations of extreme power and pain, which hold an appeal for sadomasochists, was key to the cinematic genre at large and to the cult success of The Night Porter. After all, its clothing that has given the film its most famous image of that of the topless Rampling singing for the guards in the camp, long gloves up to her arm, bare breasts covered with the suspenders, like.
Okay, I've read it. Yeah, those are braces.
Yeah,
that's what they used to call them.
Oh, okay, because I did. So I was like, braces. Did I?
So I've read
down
enough vintage. No, that's what they used to be called.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. All right. So her bare breasts covered it with braces, which Amanda just told me is what they used to call suspenders.
This is because I've read so much.
I love it.
Queer fiction set in the past where I was like,
Wonderful.
braces, what do you mean? Oh.
Yeah,
okay,
that would be really
cool.
cool.
Get to the fucking, yes.
Yeah. Get to the fucking, please. Cap of a SS guard perched on her head. In the years since 1974, the reference point has been mirrored by everyone from subcultural pioneers to pop icons and top designers. We have punks appropriating Nazi iconography. Some of it is to be in your face. Some of it is also, though, to take it and be like, you would have hated me, so fuck you. We have Vivienne Westwood, Sid Vicious. This one said Jordan. I don't know who that is, but I know a few Jordans. So, Jordan, I am looking at you right now. And the most direct reference is of Susie Sue, 1982, by Anton Corbijn, is this photo of, I like how this just called her Sue. I was like, Sue, okay. And this is what Sushi Sue had to say in 2002. Well, that was fun to say. Swastikas, crucifixes, Star of David, S and M. I think I've always been very attracted to very strong imagery anyway, whether it's religious or cinematic or pop cultural. I think at the time there was also still a certain naivete. I remember in films like Salon Kitty, which is a 1976 erotic war drama by Tinto Brass, and The Night Porter, you were more aware of the imagery than the political and social implications. Moving forward, there was like a magazine, propaganda magazine, which was mostly, though, about BDSM subculture, appropriated a lot of this imagery. 1990, Madonna, Justify My Love. Moving forward, many decades, or I guess just one decade. Lady Gaga for 2009, Love Game. That man that I'm not gonna
Gautier?
No. Marilyn Manson.
Oh, that man.
That man. In fashion specifically, we do have Marc Jacobs, autumn, winter. We have Marc Jacobs when he was working for Louis Vuitton. We have Tom Ford, who said almost every image of the actress Charlotte Rampling that has ever been captured are burned into my hard drive and have become a part of my ethos of contemporary beauty. And we have also Raph Simon, the
SS?
days. I know. Spring, summer. I know. I was like the SS. They're like, it's more Robert Mapplethorpe, but you can definitely see a lot of this imagery.
So I'm going to interrupt in this section for a moment to talk about something that I found out. And Amanda, I'm sure you know about this part as well. Yes. And we'll get into more of this after I read this. But this was on IMDb trivia, but it was also on Wikipedia and various other places. So Sir Dirk Bogarde had a very dark experience during filming. One scene shot in Austria, where the actor said they were much more Nazi than even the Germans were, required him to make an entrance wearing an SS uniform, cross the street, and get into a car. He said he was shit scared appearing in public that way. He kept hidden in an elderly woman's flat until the signal was given for him to emerge. Doffing an overcoat that covered the uniform and slipping on his black gloves, he was taken aback when the old woman fell to her knees, caressing his boots and exclaiming, "It's the good days again." The scene outside was no less disturbing. Quote, "There was an enormous crowd, and when I came out, it was like I was Garbo or Dietrich. They were shrieking with joy and singing the Horstwessel song, one of the Nazi anthems banned after the war. All the kids came running after me to hold my hand, to touch the uniform, all of them."
So Dirk Bogarde was a gay man, and he was about as open as you could be at that time period, to the point that he starred in a movie from 1961 called Victim, which for a very long time was considered, now it's a theatrical movie, so it is actually probably the first theatrical, it was considered to be the first movie to deal with homosexuality in any sort of non-negative context, and it is about a lawyer who becomes the victim of a blackmailer who is blackmailing him for being gay. And the movie comes down very much on the, you know what, that should not be something you should be blackmailed for, because it should not matter. And he is the titular victim. archivists at the BFI actually discovered maybe about a decade ago that there is an even earlier movie from 1959 that was a TV film in England that also depicts homosexuality in a not negative way. I'm saying not negative because it's not necessarily happy, but it is more positive than things were before. So it was like an open secret that Dirk Bogarde was queer. And obviously not a Nazi. Very much so not a Nazi.
Well, and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
He was part of British intelligence during World War II and was at one of the camps the day after its liberation.
Yep.
So for this gay man who literally fought Nazis during the war to have to act as a Nazi and appear as a Nazi on the streets of Austria, I cannot imagine the absolute internal horror that he was experiencing.
And he played a lot of these very bad characters just because of like the vibes that he gave off. But from every account that I've ever read, he himself was a very like mild-mannered, sweet person. And of course, Greta Garbo and Dietrich, both queer. Very queer.
Yeah, so the fact that he said that is just like, oh yeah, this is a queer man, like looking at his divas.
There's a line in the play The History Boys, which is a very queer play, where as it's someone's like calls someone else a Dirk Bogarde to say that they are gay.
Oh.
That is how I became acquainted with Dirk Bogarde many
You're
years
like,
ago.
I have to look this up. Like,
Well, I was just like, it was also that I heard it and I was like, Humphrey Bogart? But no. And then I actually, because the History Boys is, I mean, I would have been a kid. The movie came out when I was like a young teen, very young teen. And I was pretty into it. And so I heard it, I was just like, what? So I looked, I did some digging, and that's when I really discovered Dirk Bogarde, and I've seen a bunch of his movies since, because he has done a lot of these 1960s, 1970s, World War II set movies that I've written about, where he plays a bad guy. And that's what he was known for. But yes, he was British intelligence. He was as openly queer as you could be at that time period.
And his character in the movie is queer too. It's implied. It's not shown, but it is very much implied that he and Bert have some kind of relationship. And I think the way they do it is very clever. Bert is such a fascinating character for me. But we'll talk some more. Before we move on to our next section, Caitlin, you want to tell us what people think of this movie?
Really, the people are in agreement with this because Rotten Tomatoes, it's a 67%. I will say the average rating is like 5.9 out of 10, which is a little lower than our IMDb rating, which is 6.6 out of 10. And then Letterboxd is 3.4 out of 5 or 6.8 out of 10. So in the public sphere, this is about a 67% movie.
All right. Well, speaking of the public sphere, let's make that money. And now we'll dig into the meat, the goo, the viscera, the jam jar in the section we call Enough is the Myth.
No. I've done enough. Enough is a myth.
Okay, friends, ready for some questions? Well, Max is certainly, quote, not as bad as his compatriots, who have clearly not changed their ways at all. He's still a Nazi. Is there any redemption achievable for a person like him? Like, do you believe in restorative justice, or is this a case of let's build a guillotine and put all the Nazis on it, which is what I want to do with all the billionaires right now?
See, I think when you have a question like this of he's not as bad as the other Nazis, but he's still a very active Nazi, it's like saying, well, yeah, Roman Polanski is not as bad as Jeffrey Epstein. But I don't want to be on an island with either of them.
Exactly. And Okay, so yeah, I think you've answered the question. No, there's no fucking redemption here.
Absolutely not. There is.
And in some ways, is he worse because he goes along with it?
Right. Well, and, not to relate this too much to what's happening in our current world, but there are people who are trying to get members of ICE to essentially defect and join the resistance. And it's like, I understand the nonviolent protest. I understand the heart that's involved in that and wanting to see the best in people. But these people are rotted to their fucking core.
Yeah,
and I don't believe in capital punishment. I believe in social justice in the most literal sense of it. These are people who should be put on the guillotine because they do not deserve redemption. They do not deserve restoration.
Right. Where are your limits and what is the crime? I think there are crimes that are born out of poverty. That's a huge difference from deciding I hate people and want to harm them.
Exactly.
Those are not the same
orders.
Crime. Yeah.
Like someone who was giving orders in the camps, in the camp that he was assigned to.
Yes. And that's what he is. He is giving orders. He is not just someone who ended up in the party. He is pretty high up there, which means he wants to be there. And as I recall, I think that was something that I argued about when I wrote about this movie in terms of him as a character and looking at him. Is he complicated or not? And the thing is, no, he is a Nazi. He is a very bad man. There is no redemption here. And even if there is, does he deserve it? Or are there other people more deserving? And I think there are other people more deserving than him.
Yes. The only thing I have to add is the only good Nazi is a dead Nazi.
Yes. Or as my husband likes to say, have a good night, go punch Nazis.
Yeah.
He's now making a Nazi punching motion. No, it's when he says it on work calls.
I know the guy who punched. Oh God, Alex. What's this fuck his face?
Good.
Oh my God, the Sandy Hook guy. He had to pay a bunch of money. I can't remember his name now, but he was in Seattle, and I actually know the guy who went up to him and punched him in his face.
Hero.
Yeah, so good.
So we've talked on this podcast previously about problematic relationships, particularly in the world of kink, but this takes it to another level. How do you feel about this relationship that was originally forged between Lucia and Max, and how do you feel about the rekindling of it under post-war context?
I feel like how Amanda looks right now, which y'all can't see her, but the hands are in the face and just head shaking. No.
I think relationship is a really nice word. It's very euphemistic.
It's such a romantic story.
Yeah.
I think Lucia is a victim and is still shackled to what she went through and is falling into an old pattern because it's really hard to escape that. And I think Max is a villain.
Yeah, I fully agree. Amanda, you and I have talked a lot about abusive relationship dynamics and how much damage they can do to people. And, I talked on our Duke of Burgundy episode about the fallout that I'm dealing with the loss of the best part of my best friendship with someone that I, up until a few weeks ago, was extremely close with. And just the hindsight that I have now looking back and going, oh, this was almost never healthy, and that I once again ended up in a situation where I was giving too much of myself. And it fucking sucks. It sucks to not know yourself unless you are in this toxic position, because that's just what you know.
Yeah.
And the normalization of that and that abuse that happens, that, and you can get, a lot of times when you do get out of an abusive relationship and then you go potentially into another one, abusive or not, there's
You
still
look for the
some of
signs.
Yep.
And even if if it is the exact opposite, there's still things that the other person that you're with will do that make you think of that,
Absolutely.
even if they are not that person.
Absolutely.
And that's not them being a bad person. It's that you have a trauma response. And it's hard to break out of those.
Yep.
And I think also the fact that Lucia is a teenager when they meet is very... I did not know that. I had made some assumptions before watching this movie, that Charlotte Rampling's character was Jewish, which I know Cavani talks about a lot. Like, people don't realize... No, she's not.
But she's a child, and he is a grown man.
She's a child.
And I know I brought up age gaps earlier, and I know May knows the movie that I made. So, to say that...
Well, I was going to say, like, in our episode of Neon Demon, my friend Caitlin, other Caitlin who listens, said... I really like how you were trying to rationalize being a teenage dirtbag, going after, like, you were 16, going after this guy who was, like, 21, and just being like, it was fine.
Right. Okay. So, exactly. And now we are adults. And you still, and here's the thing, you still look back on those things and you think, well, for one thing, was it as bad? Is it actually that bad? What are your feelings for that other person? And they're still conflicted. You never look back and think, well, they were just bad. And that's what makes it so murky.
Yep. Yeah, and there's unfortunately a lot of discourse happening right now about, again, not going to delve too deep into this, but like about some of the girls who were victims of Epstein and all of that. And it's like, well, they were 16, it's so close to age of consent. It's not like they were 4. And it's like, okay, first of all, age of consent is not what's fucking important. That is a fucking number.
And also, here's what
the important part is that
it should be about protecting. It should be about protecting people from adults, and not about. And some states have it where it's about like protecting teens from just having sex, which is gross.
Right.
Like kids are going to sexually experiment as long as they're doing it with each other and it's consensual. I don't give a fuck. Like I did that. That's great. Whatever.
There are states.
Yeah,
there might still be a state, but like the age of consent is like 12 or 14.
Yes, there are states.
Ugh.
I think
Utah
and Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that is basically granting permission to adults to fuck children. And an adult fucking a child is just not okay. It doesn't matter what the exact age is.
No.
What matters is you are an adult and they are not.
Are you a grown-ass person and they are still something teen or not even teen?
Right. Yeah, and it's like if you are a year apart from someone and you turn 18 before they do. It's like, okay, who fucking cares?
That's why, like, New York, our age of consent thing is specifically, it's got a Romeo and Juliet clause that, like, this is about adults and children, not about protecting, like, teens from sexually experimenting with other teens. We don't care about that. It's about you're a grown-ass person and this is not.
That seems more reasonable. That seems more flexible to allow people to not get in trouble for having potentially healthy relationships.
And how so many of these laws have been weaponized against the homosexuals.
Yes. Oh my God. I was having a conversation with someone recently about a guy who is from a state where the laws are a lot more, don't have that Romeo and Juliet clause where it's like, this is not about stopping teenagers from having sex with other teenagers. It's about protecting kids from adults. But he was dating another guy and they were like 1 or 2 years apart, but his birthday was first. So he hit like that age before the boyfriend did. And of course, the boyfriend had homophobic parents.
Yep.
And that's where you weaponize homosexuality, get someone to put them on a sex offenders list for being a teenager, having relationship with their partner versus what it should be about adult people taking advantage of children.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, my last question.
This is really lighthearted romp that we're having.
So light.
tiptoeing through the tulips.
Many critics and viewers, particularly Roger fucking Ebert, seem to find this a distasteful exercise in exploitation, aiming for sensationalism rather than social or psychological critique. Do you see this result as a lack of media literacy on the part of those viewers, a failing of the film to communicate its ideas clearly, or something else?
I don't really know. Okay, that's a lie. I was going to say, I don't understand how you could watch this movie and think that it is just going for sensationalism.
Agreed.
And so many people do. I mean, if you read Ebert's 1-star review, it is scathing and just so, it is so presumptuous of what he thinks the movie is trying to do, as if he made up his mind before he watched it and then just stuck to that.
And that's a lot of what I thought going into it the first time I watched this 14 years ago. And then I came away with a movie that I thought was about a very toxic dynamic where someone was trapped in it, because she is trapped in this relationship. Like, she falls back into it because she has no idea what else to do. It was, yes, he was her captor, but he was also the only thing that protected her. And I think any of us in that situation would have,
particularly as a teenager.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why people who are sexually abused as children and teens end up in abusive relationships.
And it's a hard movie, but it's also why I've kind of always loved it. Like, this is not an easy watch. Do not get me wrong.
No.
This is a really hard watch.
It's a very well-made movie, and I think the message that it's trying to convey is not that hard to interpret. And, you know, I don't want to say everyone's an idiot, but I think there's a severe lack of media literacy on the part of a lot of people who watch movies and consume other and partake in other forms of art with messaging. And if they're not willing to engage with that messaging, then what they come away from that piece of art with is not going to be accurate.
And I also think it's hearing the stories that inspired this to Liliana Cavani, that it was her hearing these women's stories who had these relationships and also grappling with it. Because it wasn't just the one story. There were three women.
Yes, there were three. I know the other women were like Italian partisans, so they were. Fighting against the Nazi occupation.
Yeah, and there was one woman who felt compelled every year to go back and couldn't even explain why, but she did, because it's so hard to break free from that. And even when you hit a point where you can look back and analytically say, yes, this was bad, should not have happened, I am not culpable, I am the victim in the situation, that doesn't mean your feelings are the same. Your feelings are always going to be muddled. You're always going to look back and say, yes, but also he was bad, but my protector, and I developed feelings, and you're a teenager. And I think that's what this movie's doing. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't see that. I think a lot of people don't want to see that because they don't want to meet this kind of material. I know I think before we even started recording, a joke about this and Lolita and being romances, and how neither is, of course,
romantic.
But the very, very, dumb interpretation is it's a tragic love story, but it's not. This is a story of a toxic codependency where someone is a villain.
People who cannot move on.
Yeah.
Not move on. Just move on. But you people who are and so shaped by what they went through.
He is obsessed because he became obsessed with her at the time, and she was a literal child. And seeing him again opens so many doors that, this is the 50s. She's not going to a great psychiatrist who's really helping her contextualize this.
Nope.
No.
Seeing him again is opening all those doors, and it's easy because it's really hard to try to carve out a normal looking life after what you've been through.
It's true.
I saw someone who had sexually abused me as a teen, 16, 17. He was in his 30s. And one of those things where I I was like very flirty naturally. Yep. And, you know, when you're in your, I think he was like 37. So he was almost 40. You know, that is your time to go, no. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you go, you're a child. And we're all adults, and like any desire, like I don't even really want to hang out with people in their 20s. Caitlin, you referenced someone 29 being a child.
I know. You know? Not like a child, but 29. You know, kind of.
If a 16-year-old started flirting with me, I would be like, what the fuck are you doing? You want to talk about movies? Okay, sure. But go away.
I'm so sorry, young people.
I know. I'd be like, wait, I'm sorry. What is going? How? No, thank you. Go. Play with your friends.
And I saw this guy just like randomly. Well, I was on a lunch break going to a grocery store to pick something up that I could like scarf down in 10 minutes. And
God, that must have fucked up your day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It really fucked up the rest of my day. Like I had to work, and I'm in a front-facing customer service job that, you know, paid me like $10.35 an hour, and I was working 29 hours a week. So I couldn't like just leave. And the emotions and the feelings, and just like, for me, I had like a sick feeling as well.
Yeah.
Of what had happened.
And it's also hard not to look back at those things and still look at yourself as culpable, even though you're not. You weren't.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's not balanced.
No. Well, on that note.
I'm going to say, let me just say, I've respectfully declined to play a game this time.
That's
fair.
I
was like, I don't think there's a game to be played with this movie.
Well, so we'll move on to our next category, which is called Let's Play a Game, but we're not going to play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
What we're going to do in this category is talk about whether this movie is a pleaser or a pleasure. And I think as we're all losing our minds here, because we're 2 hours into recording.
For all of us.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, I didn't want to be like, here's how I feel too. But when I was in my 20s, I was on the train home and ran into the woman who sexually assaulted me when I was 15. She was 16. I ran into her on the train, and I had probably the worst panic attack of my life up to that point, because I had spent so many years being told, this is obviously pre-transition, a girl can't rape a boy. So I had internalized that so much that I convinced myself that it didn't actually happen. And then I saw her, and I saw the way she looked at me with the pure terror of someone who has done you wrong, recognizing that, oh shit, that's that person I did that thing to. And I knew then that it was true. So that was a very pivotal moment in my life. And of course I was in an abusive relationship at the time, and I came home and told my fiance at the time. And she literally said, "Man up." Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hate her.
Uh-huh. Yeah. She's.
I mean, I know you're not with her, but I hate her.
Oh God, no. No, she's a piece of shit. Anyway, so The Night Porter. This is a Punisher through and through. I think we all agree on that.
Yes.
And I think we have talked so much about so many different things now. I'm going to say, do we have any final thoughts, or is there anything either of y'all want to say to like wrap this up?
Since I watched this twice, because the first time I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I am very uncomfortable. I will not forget this movie. No. It's going to stay with me for a very long time. It's one of those movies that I think could ruin your yesterday, when you're like, oh God. I thought I had a good time yesterday, but now I don't think that was happening anymore. It is difficult subject matter. It is very uncomfortable. And like I said,
yeah, this is perfect for us, the three of us.
It is. All right. Well, that wraps it up nicely, Caitlin. So let's move on and tell you what's coming next.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police. Not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
And that brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this harrowing journey, fellow travelers. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review wherever you can, because it helps more people find the show, and it makes us all tingly inside. It is really weird to be doing this with this movie, but you know what?
Okay, but maybe this is the right group to be talking about this movie, a group of queer friend Jews, actually.
Yep, that's very true. Well, you can find us on Instagram at Pleasers and Punishers and on Blue Sky at Pleasers Punishers. You can also email us at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. You can hear me podcasting on Tender Subject and Slayerfest 98. And you can find my music on Bandcamp, Ampwall, and streaming services as Everson Poe, 2 separate words. I put some copies of my record on Ampwall, so if you want to get a physical copy and you don't want to support Bandcamp, you can do it through Ampwall now. They're a much smaller independent company that was mostly built by Chris Grigg, who's a musician I really like, super nice guy. Anyway, Caitlin, where can you be found on the internet?
I don't even fucking know anymore.
Okay.
Okay. After all, I don't even know. I can be found at Caitlin of the North on Blue Sky and Instagram, and Cat of the North on Letterboxd.
And Amanda, where can people find you, hear you, see your stuff?
Yeah. Okay, so for socials, you can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky at Amanda Jane Stern. You can find me on Letterboxd at Witchy Wanderer. You can watch my also super easy to watch movie, Perfectly Good Moment.
Yes.
Hey, your movie is very cathartic and it has a sense of fun to it that this movie does not.
It is very cathartic. It is also rather kinky when you start to break it down.
Okay, so listeners, if you've watched The Night Porter and listened to this episode and you're like, I need something to scrub my eyeballs, and you want some catharsis.
Don't watch Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. That's what I'm going to say right now.
Go watch Perfectly Good Moment on Tubi, Amanda's excellent film that I will never stop talking about.
Thank you. Yes, you can watch that on Tubi, and you can hear me podcasting on Don't Be Crazy. It's just a general film podcast, and then I guest on so many other podcasts. This might be one of my favorites, though.
Aw, thank you. Well, I hope you know you're welcome back anytime.
Thank
and
you.
like, honestly, I wish you had the time to be a permanent co-host with us, because
I would love to. This would be amazing. This is one of the most fun ones. You were doing the most fun co-hosts.
Oh, thank you.
And it's one of those things too. I feel like, because you are also such a history nerd, when we get to my section, it's just like, oh my God.
It's like a mind meld. No, if you ever wanted like a more permanent third.
Hey, I mean, you know, we're both non-monogamous, so...
You can sign me up.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll talk more about that, because I'm open to it. Well, now that
I'm so sorry to everybody listening.
Now that we've collapsed into a pile of laughter, I'm going to tell you that next week's episode, continuing Fetish February, is on 2002's Secretary.
I know the producer.
Cool.
I have worked for the producer of that movie. Also, that's a really good kink movie. That's going to be like...
Yeah.
That's going to be like a nice warm blanket after that.
As we wrap it up, Fetish February.
But until then, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries, and...
Remember, a guilt complex is a disturbance of the psyche, a neurosis.